Welcome to S Class, the highest tier in podcasting. With me is the champion of Charmin. It's Robert.
It took me a second to think about that, but now I understand.
And as always, I'm your host, the Sultan of Softness,
That's
Justin.
weak.
I'm recycling.
We've used Sultan like 4 times, and it's
Give me a
usually
better
me.
title,
I really
Rob.
enjoy it. The
You're just butthurt that
Causeway of Coziness.
the causeway of coziness. Rob's here just to make sure we're using lots of different vocabulary.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'm
we
just going
can't
to fill
keep
this.
using adjective of Sultan here.
Or just me cussing to fill the time.
Because that's not comfy. There's nothing comfy about cursing.
It's not cozy at all.
No.
Today, Robert and I will be talking about our favorite comfort anime, the ones that we kind of go to when maybe we just need something to relax or don't want to be thinking too much.
Coziness is really a state of mind, isn't it?
I think.
And at the same time, coziness is about turning off the mind. That's the beauty of coziness.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
I feel like everything with you is a state of mind.
It's also a state of turning off the mind, yes.
I think last year you told me that waifuism is a state of mind as well.
Correct, yes. These are all facts.
Rob, do you want to start us off with your first cozy anime or manga?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a little bit of a wild card here. And this is one that you kind of throw on like in the same vein as The Office or the Food Network. And that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub, by the way. This is Brooklyn Joey Wheeler, Tristan Mouth Breather dub.
Dan Green Yugi.
There you go. And what makes it comfy is, I guess, the nostalgia of it wrapping around your finger, those voices, the familiarity with them, just kind of making you feel those positive feelings of youth. But also, I don't put it on to actually watch it. I'm not watching Kaiba jump off a cliff because he lost a duel to Yu-Gi-Oh! For comfort. I'm just having that on in the background to get me through my day when I get home from work.
I have something of a similar vein that I was going to say for last, and maybe I will.
What's something that you just have on in the background, or something that, pokes at the nostalgia?
A little bit of both, yeah. I think that's a really good one because it's sort of something that you don't really have to zone in on because it's in English and you know these lines since you're like 10 years old. So
and it's
that's
also
a really good
terrible.
This is a new cozy one, right? Because this just got added to Netflix, or you've been doing this for a while?
I've come to this for a while. Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets, I think, added on and off Netflix, but like whenever it's on there, because now, especially that The Office is off Netflix, I got to go with Yu-Gi-Oh!
How far have you gone with Yu-Gi-Oh! Since it's cozy background music?
Well, I kind of like to just go through Duelist Kingdom. Because, once again, I'm not paying attention, so I don't mind the redundancy of constantly having Duelist Kingdom on in the background. I kind of just stay there. That's like peak youth, peak like 10-year-old WB11 Saturday morning, and I want to be there.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Yu-Gi-Oh! As well, because I feel like Battle City, the actual anime-ness of it increases, but it gets way less cozy because it's actually taking itself seriously for the first time.
Yeah, you need Duelist Kingdom with no rules.
With no rules and just laughter because you know how ridiculous it is.
Absolutely. That's my go-to.
I like it. That's a good one. Mine will be Full Metal Panic, which is this anime about this military sergeant who's like 16 years old. He used to be like a child soldier, and he gets implanted into a school to protect this girl who might be some sort of scientific, how do you say, target that good guys and bad guys all want. Like she has this mind that can like understand technology, and if people captured her, they could use her mind to like build the most dangerous war robots, right? But the thing is, the kid, his name's Sosuke, he has no social skills because he's been a child soldier since he was like 4. So he goes in and he thinks like someone like gives her a hug. He's like, oh, they're trying to kill her, and he'll tackle them or like he'll throw a grenade at them. And I don't watch it all the time as like the coziness, but it just brings back childhood memories for when I used to have the Anime Network. It was like $7 a month. My mom bought it for me on demand, and I watch it in dub. I watch in dub and sub, but it's like something that you don't have to watch the subtitles and pay attention to it, and it's just funny and easygoing.
Wait, what is the Anime Network on demand? What 2002 technology is that?
Back then, they used to have all different types of on demand. And this is like the only thing we had back then was like Adult Swim and Toonami. And this thing was like a treasure trove. It was like $7 a month, which I thought was a ridiculous amount of money. But it had all these non standard anime. Like, it didn't have like Naruto or Bleach or any of those things. It had like Golden Boy and uh, what the hell else? Full Metal Panic.
I just really can't believe this has never been mentioned before in our years of friendship and our 2 years of having an anime YouTube channel that you had this in 2002 on-demand anime service. I mean, this is crazy.
You know what? I think yeah, a lot of the things that probably formed my childhood were informed by this. And I used to watch this with my buddy DJ all the time. And I think this was around middle school when you and I were like still friends, but we didn't hang out from like fifth to eighth grade ish. That's when I was totally engulfed by this.
Wow, this is mind-blowing to me.
You know, it had a lot of like 80s shows as well. Like, do you know that one with like the giant tiger and the boy with the spear? It recently got a re-release, I think.
Giant tiger and boy with spear. No.
Yeah, it's like some spiritual thing. There's like, oh my god, there was a lot of anime titties on that one.
I'm
Like
sure
just
there were. It was on demand.
yeah, Yoko. There's Yoko the Demon Slayer. That one had a lot of titties. Yeah, it was like mind blowing. I was like, oh my god, am I allowed to watch this? Obviously, I watched it as like a 12-year-old.
It hit you at the perfect time of life. All right, that's a good, comfy, cozy, nostalgia-filled one. I like it. So, Full Metal Panic.
Full Metal Panic. What do you got, Rob?
That is amazing. You know, there's a lot of choices for the Studio Ghibli catalog, but I think the
Hmm.
ultimate one for my
Is it
comfiness
is it Kiki?
is it's Kiki. It's
Always
100%
Kiki.
Kiki. Kiki's my favorite anime movie of all time. One of my
Mhm.
favorite anime of all time in general. And I'm watching it dubbed once again, so it doesn't
Right.
demand my full attention. And the whole like vibe of the movie is very relaxed and a little bit depressing in the sense of, Kiki failing and trying to figure out her life. But there's like a little bit of a coziness in that search for who you are as a person. Like just watching this magical witch, even she's struggling. It kind of makes you feel, I don't know, comfortable. It makes you feel like you're not alone in this world through the struggle.
I want to watch the Kiki you're watching because I don't dislike Kiki, but Kiki just makes me sad. It's been a few years, but in general, like the beginning, so like, oh my god, look, it's a witch. We haven't seen a witch here in years, and it's like very fun and soft, and then it just gets really sad for me, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
But you gotta like grasp how relatable that is. Like for me, I like take that in and I live it, and I'm just like, okay, at least I'm not alone. At least
Hmm.
she's a failure too. And yes, she succeeds in the end, and I won't. But you know what? That's okay because it's a movie.
I need to give this a rewatch, but my lens has been tainted, so I'll give it another shot.
And I mean, it's just also the same vein as Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's a fun dub that I really enjoy, and it doesn't command my full attention. But in those moments where I want to like jump back into it, it's still really enjoyable to watch.
Okay, that's a good one. My next one is one you probably haven't heard of. It's called Carol and Tuesday. Do you know this?
I've heard of it, yes.
Okay, so this is a Watanabe anime, like the guy who did Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. And I don't know if this is like coincidence or he just happens to get really good dubs, but I watched this one dubbed when it came out, and I would just be drawing while I listened to it in English. And I actually have not rewatched this once because it's really cozy in the beginning, then the plot just sort of derails. But the reason why this falls into one of my comfy anime is because it has one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard,
Hmm.
like full English. Um, it's about two young girls who are singers, and they kind of have this like folky pop music. And I would just like play this like 15 to 20 songs, like a full discography pretty much. And I would just play this while I'm driving or just want to chill out. So I probably listened to all their main songs like over 100 times. So the music is what makes it very cozy for me.
So it's better music than afternoon tea time.
Yes, definitely better than Hokage Tea Time from our girl Yui.
In K-On!
Ironically, like K-on's like super cozy, but their music's kind of bad to listen to.
Well, they're a terrible band. That's actually an interesting point, though, to bring up. Just like a great soundtrack can add to the overall coziness and comfort, and it can grip you in that like those long car rides where you just have it on, and then you may not be watching it, but you're still thinking of that show and what it brought for you and what it's doing for you is presenting you that music. That's a
Yeah,
good point. I
yeah.
like that.
And I think also to that point, Rob, it's like a very heartfelt story of they're in the future, like let's say it's 2050 or 2100, and all music is created by AI, and they're the only two who sort of write their own songs, and they're just sort of like having fun, and it just kind of breaks through this robot perfection, and they're just kind of like pouring their souls into it, which is really nice.
I like that. I this one might be one I check out. How long is it? 12, 24?
Might be 24. I think you're
Okay.
gonna hate it in the second
Really?
part.
Oh, it gets okay.
It falls apart. But honestly, the first half is like genuinely very good, and it's worth at least a couple episodes. See if you like it.
All right. I'll just find a good stopping point where it seems like a good ending.
I'll tell you why. I'll give you a warning. Hillary Clinton's in it, even though it's
This
not Hillary
sounds
Clinton.
incredibly strange. I thought it was 2050.
It's not
She's
actually
still
Hillary.
alive?
It's not actually Hillary Clinton, but it was coming out around the time of the election, and this woman is pretty much Hillary Clinton, and I was like, I'm over this.
That's ridiculous. All right. All right. If you were to be asked what is the most brain dead anime you can think of, what would you say?
Whew. I know this one.
Do you?
No,
I want to hear what you think I'm going to say.
my first thought comes to mind is K-On, but K-On has a little bit of something to it. Oh man, I don't know. Is it like Plastic Nichan?
Oh god, no, not Plastic Beach. I'm going with Polar Bear Cafe.
Oh, okay. When you say brain dead, it feels like insulting. Whereas,
I more so mean like I, as the viewer, am brain dead while watching it because there's absolutely zero happening, and I live for it.
right, you have been trying to sell me on Polar Bear Cafe for like 10 years, and I'm just like, sell it to me. You're like, it's a polar bear, and he runs a cafe.
And his customer is a penguin that's like George Costanza and a panda bear.
Who doesn't like
What
to do
could be
work?
better than that? Yeah, it's a lazy panda.
It's really long too. What is it, like 40 something episodes?
Yeah, I think it's 40, either 48 or 50 episodes. Each one better than the last.
Sell us on the coziness of Polar Bear Cafe outside of what you've already said.
I think Polar Bear Cafe is the premier slice of life anime because it has that very simple setting of the cafe. It has the world with, both talking animals and humans. So you don't know which animals you're going to be getting in the cafe and how they're going to interact with everyone and what their like random animal traits are going to be that make them hilarious. Like you have the tortoise that is taking days to get to the cafe. You have like the anteater that screams at everyone and wants ants in all his food. Like they're just all so
That's
ridiculous.
disgusting.
It is.
But very funny.
Stupid and silly and does not take itself the least bit seriously. And you learn a little bit of Japanese because everything the polar bear does is in puns. So you get to have a good time with that learning. And I don't know, slice of life as a genre is about comfort and coziness. And this being the premiere of that for me, how is it not going to be in this discussion?
You know what's funny is that Polar Bear Cafe has actually come to relevance to me recently because I recently started taking Japanese classes, and all these videos keep popping up on my YouTube, and it's like top 5, top 10 anime for beginners to learn Japanese, and Polar Bear Cafe is almost always on that list because
See?
of its like basic language. So it's funny that you brought that
Yeah.
specific point up.
Well, because they do, like, the polar bear will say something that's a pun, and then they'll, like, slowly go through how each of those Japanese phrases is the pun, so you'll learn each word.
Very nice. That's a good one. I'm wondering if this next one is on your list. I would imagine it is. And I'm staying in the slice of life theme, and it's Yotsuba.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yotsuba is how it's going to end this,
Okay.
with some light reading.
So I don't know if you want to talk about this later or if you want me to chat a little bit about this now.
We'll save Yotsuba for the final, because we're both going to have lots of things to say about it. So give me
Okay.
another one for now, and then we'll get into Yotsuba.
I will switch it, and I wonder if this one is also on your list. And this is Gash Bell.
It is not on my comfy list, actually. No.
There's a very distinct memory I have of why Gash Bell makes it to this list. And I was a traveling consultant for many years, and I was in this beautiful little town called Colmar in France. And it's like a Beauty and the Beast type of idealistic town. All the colorful buildings. There's a river running through, beautiful food, beautiful people, and I was just so sad. Like I'd been traveling, I'd been away from home for like 10, 15 days, and
You
I just
miss me.
wanted I didn't say that, Rob. I certainly didn't say that. But I just wanted like a piece of home. I've been eating like this luxurious food, traveling with my co-consultant. I was like, I don't give a shit about him right now. And I had a thumb drive that had like 15 episodes of Gash Bell on it, and I put it in and I watched it, and it just brought some sort of joy to my heart. It sounds so lame, but it was like one of the early episodes before things get real battle focused, and it might have just been like Gash playing with Vulcan, or some episode of Kanchome just being an idiot. And the nostalgia, but also it's just genuinely so funny and heartfelt. So
I mean,
that's why Gash Bell makes this list.
it's Gash Bell. It's the perfect series, and I think it goes back to our, you know, conversation about nostalgia leading to that feeling of comfort, that feeling of joy of those simpler times. And watching Gash Bell is the ultimate experience of youthful anime-ness. It's just the perfect anime. It's the perfect anime. It's the perfect manga. Everything about it is superior to anything ever created. So how could you not be comfortable and cozy while watching it?
I didn't think we were getting into the goat discussion during our cozy, comfy episode. Um, but I think one more thing is that probably we're going to bring this up during the Yotsuba, but things involving young children also kind of have this cozy vibe about it because we keep getting older, and these kids, they're not focused on like, oh, what's my goal? I'm having this existential crisis. They're just trying to have fun and have a good time. And Gash does that not quite as well as Yotsuba, but he's just trying to eat fish and play with his friends, and he's living his best life.
The only thing that kept Gash Bell from being the perfection for me is that watching it, the anime quality is so poor. Like
That's my
I
favorite
really
part.
no. I love how low budget it is, but I can't even find like anything over like 240p right now for Gash Bell.
Ooh.
So for me, that's a struggle there. Um, and you know, there are some heavy emotional moments that, while they really shouldn't be overly emotional and heavy, they still hit that way.
That's what makes it not cozy, is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
not
Oh,
necessarily
okay.
as cozy as I need.
Gotcha. I
I'm
think you're
not
saying
trying to
this is
cry when I'm getting cozy.
got it. Okay. Yeah. And I think this is just like certain slices of it and that specific memory that puts it on this cozy list for me.
Yeah, and I can't imagine the goat of anything being something comfortable. Like Ashbill's the greatest thing of all time, but I'm not like cozy while enjoying that because I'm aware of the fact that I'm engaging with history, and there's
I,
something kind of poignant about that.
I think one of the things that makes Gash Bell the go, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but its ability to modulate its coziness and battle centricity. I'm trying to sound like I'm smart, but if you have something that's purely battle centric, it kind of gets boring. But something that's able to like have really a fun time, but also be intense and balance those two well, is what makes you enjoy both of them.
Yeah, no, you're right. Mixes good battle, great soundtrack,
All three songs.
coziness in its comedy, and heartfelt moments. You know, those all wrap together to create a perfect package.
And that's Gash Bell, the
And
goat.
that's Gash Bell.
I have. Is Yotuba your last one, or do you have another? And you can improv this if you have something to
You know,
mind.
I'll go with my current cozy for this season. We're in the fall 2022 anime season,
Okay.
and I've really been enjoying the anime Do It Yourself, which is I think it takes place in like the future, and at the school like there's a Do It Yourself club, like a DIY club, and nobody's in it because in the future, like, you know, there's no need for all of these DIY type projects. But I can't wait to tell you the name of the main character.
Is this the one that you briefly mentioned? This really stupid girl.
No, that's Bochi the Rock, which is also hilarious and also
Okay.
incredibly stupid. But the main character's name is Yua Seferu.
Yourself. Oh my god.
And this is an
That's
anime original series, and it's so cozy.
very on the nose. I'm looking at it on Google Images right now. The art quality and art direction is really good.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a really fun art style, very quirky storyline, very simple slice of life. It's gathering all the club members and just having fun, doing some DIY with Yua Sefuru.
This sounds like a lot of fun. I'm definitely gonna check this
Yeah.
out.
So that's my cozy anime of 2020 of the fall 2022 season for sure.
Okay, cool. That's a good find. I got one more before we go to Yotsuba, and this is the one I said that relates back to your Yu-Gi-Oh comparison, and that is Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Oh, that's an
Speci-
interesting one.
Specifically the Abridged. And if I'm talking like mileage, I don't think there's anything that has more mileage than Dragon Ball Z Abridged in terms of things that I just turn on. Like
Yeah.
first, there's so few barriers to entry. First, it's on YouTube, so I don't need to like go on some sort of app or download some sort of show. The second thing is it's all in English, and then third, it's just like little bite-sized clips that I'll just watch, like Mr. Popo eating garlic Jr. or like Piccolo talking to Nail and Kami in his head, and they're talking about like, oh, you got a pool table in here. Um, just so funny, and the voice acting so good. There's so many things that I could say about this that just make it so consumable and cozy for me.
And it's especially great because it also has a little bit of the nostalgia for us because we probably started watching that one like 2008, 2009. It's been a long time,
Yeah.
and it's something we all constantly quote and like throw lines around from. So it does have that also kind of like nostalgic impact in addition
Yeah.
to just being hilarious and fun to throw on in the background.
Yeah, when I'm just cleaning my room, sometimes I'll just like have it on my phone, so I don't even need to put on the TV or
Yeah.
anything, and I'll just listen. I'll watch like the Broly movie, where like the little. That's my favorite. Where like the little slave boy's like, "Oh, daddy," it just
I love
kills
to
me.
watch the Christmas Tree of Might every holiday season.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my god, that's so good. So that was my trump card that I was going to share with you.
That's a good one. I like that.
All right, Rob, why don't you finish us off with one of your favorites, or both of our favorites, and that's Yotsuba.
Yotsuba was our anime of the year last year, as it was the we read it for the first time last year, right in 2021.
We read Volume 1 many years ago when you stole my first copy of
Yes,
Yotsuba
correct.
Volume 1. But we
Um,
read most of it together last year.
man, and it's just there's something different about Yotsuba. There's something just special about how well written it is from the perspective of this 6-year old. Like it's amazing how the author was able to gather up that youthful exuberance and innocence and ability to see the positives in anything. It's special, right?
If he didn't have a child, I would be mind blown as how he's able to gather this research of how a 6-year-old would act and the imagination and enthusiasm this child has.
It's amazing. I mean, obviously we were all that age at some point in our lives, but I think it's always difficult to fathom how we lived that way and to look through that lens again. And you really do feel it while reading Yatsuba.
One of the, I guess, two things I would say is number one is that because it's so slice of life, you can literally pick up any volume at any time and just read through it, and it won't not make sense. There's
Right,
no prerequisites.
absolutely.
Um,
It's overarching in the sense that it follows a timeline, but every little story, tells something different about one of Yatsuba's adventures throughout the years.
I was missing a few volumes, one of them being volume two, and I got a package the other day, and I just cut it open like literally last week after it's sitting in my room, and there was like a bunch of stuff, and one of them was Yotsuba volume two. I just like read it before I went to bed at like 1 in the morning, and I was just like literally laughing out loud. It was the chapter where Yotsuba has the water gun and she's like shooting everyone.
Oh yeah.
She's like, I don't shoot women and children, and she shoots the child and the bear. And then she walks out and she's like, I thought you didn't shoot women and children. And it's just like so silly and funny that Even having read it 3 or 4 times, I can still laugh every time I reread it.
And something also that's really cool about Yatsuba is that it's been going on and off for about 20 years now, I think.
20
And
years? No.
despite the fact that it keeps Yatsuba the same age and everyone is the same age and all that, it has the technology age with it. So like now they'll use like smartphones and things like that. But like when it first started, he's got like the big computer in his room and all that. So it's cool to see the ways they use technology as well.
I didn't believe you, but yeah, it started in March 21st, 2003. That's mind blowing.
Yeah,
And the consistency of his artwork, like it's probably gotten slightly better over time, but like it looked very much the same as if he published all of them in 1 year.
yeah, no, it's fantastic.
I don't think there's any better way to finish this off than with Yotsuba, the Queen of Comfy.
The Queen of Comfy, the Sultan, if you would.
So Yotsuba's allowed to be the Sultan, but I'm not. Jeez.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening as always. And Robert, I will catch you next time.